Learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to learn about the corporate social responsibility, identify how asymmetric information works in an imperfect market, evaluate the role of NGOs and media in CSR, and analyze the CSR in India. Secondly, we have introduction. Corporate social responsibility is known by many other names such as socially responsible business conduct, responsible entrepreneurship, corporate citizenship, corporate accountability, or corporate sustainability. CSR is a continuing commitment by business to behave ethically and contribute to economic development while improving the quality of workforce, I repeat, quality of life of the workforce and their families, local communities and the society at large. This definition is given by World Business Council. CSR encompasses the extent to which companies should promote human rights, democracy, community improvement and sustainable development objectives throughout the world. This is given by Confederation of British Industry in the year 2001. Corporate social responsibility is an extended model of corporate governance based on the fiduciary duties owed to all the firm's shareholders. It is about how companies manage the business processes to produce an overall positive impact on the society. Corporate social responsibility is also known as corporate conscience. It is said so because it is a kind of self-regulation imbibed in the workings of the business in adherence to international ethical norms and laws and culture. It is a way of business management wherein it functions creating a positive impact on communities, environment and society. In India, CSR has evolved over time, but it is among one of the oldest countries to incorporate CSR in its system. But CSR practices are not followed very religiously, especially because of the MNC culture which fails to establish an emotional relationship with India. In India, there are 4 phases in the history of CSR which have evolved with historical development and evolution. Markets are said to be imperfect when they have flaws which arise basically due to inefficiency, externalities, asymmetric information and flawed pricing. These market flaws contribute to degradation of the environment. So, it can be said that imperfect markets are in a way related to innovative business models and thus sustainable entrepreneurship giving way to corporate social responsibility. Government plays an important role to internalize the externalities in case of market imperfections. If the reputation of the company improves by investing in CSR, then companies invest in CSR and automatically some of the externalities are internalized partially by the market itself. Various other things that determine the reputation of the company are transparency of the company, tenure of the company and behavior of the stakeholders. Focusing on the literature of corporate social responsibility, that is profit, comprises of production of goods and services, people, the effect on people internal and external to the organization, planet, effect on the environment or natural resources. So, CSR and reputation are connected in a way because if the stakeholders have trust in the organization, then it leads to public prosperity, the essence of CSR. Also, the organization has to build and maintain that relationship with stakeholders wherein it does not play with their feelings for its own interest. It needs to provide true information to the stakeholders, maintain the reputation. The organization with higher reputation earns higher profits and thus can engage itself more in CSR activities. So, it can be said that in an imperfect market, reputation can act as a signal for stakeholders to help them to earn more profits and thus take part in CSR activities and vice versa. Business, government and academia focus a lot on corporate social responsibility, especially environmental protection aspect of the public prosperity. So, it can be said that in opposition of the popular belief that investing in corporate social responsibility diverts resources from profitable activities, it actually creates profitable situations for the organization. Now we have imperfect markets and asymmetric information. When markets are imperfect, then perfect competition is not there. There is no perfect knowledge that flows in the market. So due to information asymmetrics, one party always has more information than the other party, which leads to exploitation of the party with less knowledge. Opportunist party may use the information to their benefit and the other party's disinterest. Due to imperfect information, there exists heterogeneous goods which may be inefficient and eventually there may be market failure. Lack of information also causes other imperfections in the market such as externalities, restricted trade and bounded rationality. Prisoner's dilemma is also one of the coordination problem due to information asymmetry. This is the framework how everything is related given by Graafland and Summit in the year 2004. Below is the reputation, CSR and regulation framework as shown in the picture. Then we have role of NGOs and media and its effect on CSR. The role of NGOs and media remains very important, especially in the current scenario, because they are the intermediary to tell the public about the doings of the corporate. As communication technology is growing, so it is easier for the media and NGO to communicate the reality of the market doings to the public. So if the media and NGO is working efficiently, then it has a greater impact on a corporate to incorporate and take part in corporate social responsibility, because then they know that if they take part in CSR, public would know it and in turn it would help in reputation building of the organization and thus increased profit. Then we have public interest. Business tycoons, academicians and companies do focus on corporate social responsibility a lot nowadays. They comply with the legal regulations and environmental regulations to fulfill the corporate social responsibilities. We have seen in the literature above that markets adhere to the corporate social responsibility to increase shareholders' profit, which can be done in ways described above. So now the question arises whether apart from the shareholders' profit, would the competitive market be willing to sacrifice its share of profit for social or public interest, and whether it is even efficient to do so. According to the shareholder primacy principle advocated by Milton Friedman in 1970, shareholders own a primary position in the profits of a company. In a free enterprise, private property system, a corporate executive is an employee of the owner of the business. He has direct responsibility to his employers. That responsibility is to conduct business in accordance with their desires, which generally will be to make as much money as possible while conforming to the basic rules of the society, both those embodied in law and those embodied in ethical customs. This definition is given by Friedman in the year 1970. According to mediating arc and progressive view, sacrificing profit for greater good of society is legal under certain conditions. Now the question arises whether firms in imperfect market should be doing this even if it is legal, because engaging in corporate social responsibility will increase the cost. So the firms will be unwilling to invest in CSR activities for public interest. They might do it under pressure or due to purely altruistic motives. In the real world, where information is asymmetric and the market is imperfect and oligopolistic, investing in corporate social responsibilities over and beyond a certain threshold may be very harmful. It may seem effective in the short run, but it might not be effective in long run unless and until the qualitative factor of reputation is working into play to bind customers, shareholders and society together. The following are the sources of evidence that show that the firms over comply with CSR activities. We have government programs. Involvement in voluntary government programs is an indicator to show that firms are involved in corporate social responsibility. There are various factors that act as determinants of the same. Some of them are stated here. participation in CSR activities is linked directly to the size of the firms. Larger firms have shown greater participation in CSR activities. Also, as stated earlier, pressure from media and NGOs is one of the factors. Also, linkages with industry might be one of the factors. Though these are indicators of CSR activities, but there is no such evidence showing positive environmental or CSR effects net of its cost. Then we have industry initiatives. Voluntary industry initiatives show same kind of response as the voluntary government programs, and here also there is no such consensus showing a net positivity. So, voluntary actions taken by firm is also a determinant. As stated by Chappell etc. in the year 2001 ISO 14001, it is a mechanism which provides international guidelines with respect to environmental performance, betterment etc. The determinant is considered as the best source of compliance mechanism in an imperfect market. The reason why firm in an imperfect market over comply with the regulations as an opportunity to make their future better so as to build reputation. Another reason could be risk management. According to Reinhardt, in the year 2000, firms actively manage risk in this way, even if risk management policies reduce the expected value of firms' future cash flows, since people could reasonably disagree about the probabilities and magnitude of the contingent cost against which the company is insuring itself, and because the cost of the insurance are typically small, investment of this sort are consistent with the judgment rule and can survive indefinitely in slightly imperfect markets. Shareholders' will and charitable contribution. Sometimes it is the will of the shareholders to contribute for CSR activities. It might be for the sake of reputation building or might be ethical considerations. Also, there are corporate social contributions toward CSR. Both the reasons sometimes lead to over compliance of corporate social responsibility. Now we come to the last section of this module where we will discuss whether a firm should be involved in CSR activities in an imperfect market or not. We can answer this question with respect to social welfare principle. In case of social welfare, one can consider utilitarian principle while considering the benefits of involving in CSR activities. So firms can consider the options with maximum utility or benefit. Options can be considered as welfare with corporate social responsibility and without corporate social responsibility. The option which has the maximum welfare should be considered by the firms in an imperfect market. Benefits of CSR is included in the fact that it internalizes the externality, such as if a firm emits harmful pollutants and it invests in a plant that clears air around it, it would directly benefit the people living around and the workers. The cons on the other side are the cost of the plant installation etc., which are direct cost of corporate social responsibility. Due to these costs, the consumer surplus would reduce due to higher prices, and higher costs would reduce producer surplus. Then we have corporate social responsibility for market integration. Not long ago, attention has started to focus on CSR activities defined with respect to responsiveness of markets to shareholders, legal, social, market and environmental expectations. CSR has generally been a pragmatic response to consumer and civil society pressures. Transnational corporations are the main focus in North and in South. Focus in South has been a little less as compared to that in North. The pressures from environmental corporations, human rights activities, media and NGOs make companies take part in CSR activities. However, in recent years, business have also realized the importance of corporate social responsibility and willingly take part in it. Focus is also laid on small and medium-sized enterprises because they contribute 90% of all business worldwide. If CSR demands are protectionist, culturally inappropriate or unreasonably bureaucratic, the net effect will be to undermine livelihoods in the South. Also, special focus should be laid on the fact that these SMEs should not become a hindrance in the way of polluting, etc. According to United Nations Industrial Development Organization, in the year 2002, support for SME development can be an important part of the CSR commitment of large companies in the context of responsibility supply chain management, and improvements in social and environmental impacts can go hand in hand with better quality and management. In CSR program, United Nations Industrial Development Organization addresses the need to establish a framework for SMEs that help translate corporate social responsibility principles into a relevant SME perspective, thereby enhancing their competitiveness and market access. CSR activities as a result of pressure. Corporate social responsibility is also performed due to the pressures from NGOs and social activists. They apply external pressure on the firm to increase the public good or reduce the public bad. According to Post etc., in the year 2002, there were also instances where firms were deprived of their license to operate through boycotts. For example, the Kit Kat campaign in 2010 was carried out to stop Nestle firm from producing unsustainable palm oil. According to Hommel and Jodard in the year 2001, CSR can be a strategic policy to prevent social contestability and protect firms' long-term interest. Also, competitive pressure also lead practice of CSR activities by firm. Then we have CSR activities as business strategies. CSR activities are also used as business strategies in an imperfect competition. CSR activities can serve as important signals to show credibility. So this gives a competitive edge to firms over their competitors. So CSR in a way is used as a strategy of product differentiation. Now we move on to CSR activities in India. Some companies, though fewer in number, are realizing the advantages in linking corporate strategy with CSR. In order to work out a comprehensive plan for its not-for-profit initiatives, the Tata Group has initiated the Tata Council for Community Initiatives, a central body that acts as a facilitator for the entire group's social initiatives. While the Tata Group company may continue to provide health services, education and other tangible benefits, their focus is more on building self-reliant communities and working towards sustainable livelihood. However, after Singapore and Kalingnagar, even the fair name of Tata Group is sometimes controversial. Mahindra & Mahindra is one such company that decided in its 60th year to donate 1% of profits after tax, that is around rupees 1.3 crores as per figures shown, into CSR. Its activities include the KC Mahindra Education Trust, which promotes education at various levels, and Nanni Kali, a program aimed at helping the underprivileged girl child at the Mahindra Foundation. The midday meal program in Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan, and affirmative action through Mahindra's Pride Schools. The foundation has constituted a CSR council with members being the heads of all its business from tractors to holiday homes. It has also the ESOPs programs, that is employee social option and not just a stock option, which promotes volunteering and works in partnership with Nandi Foundation and other organizations. For all these current initiatives, Mahindras were awarded the FICCI SEDF Award 2007, one of the first CSR award in the country that includes a 360-degree reality check by the civil society who meet up with trade unions, government representatives, employees, etc. before presenting its findings to an eminent jury. We also have the ITC group, whose socio-forestry initiative and e-Chopal is an excellent paradigm where CSR and business have created harmonious associations. The cynic would, however, argue that 70% of the ITC's revenue still come from tobacco and wonder whether its CSR is just a smoke screen. The Reddy's Labs experiments has created thousands of new livelihoods, and the Bairaju Foundation, established by Satyam Group, has created rural jobs, rural BPOs in Bhimavaram, Godavari district in Andhra Pradesh makes drinking water available to families at subsidized cost and has pioneered the concept of rural BPOs. It is an amazing sight to see young men and women cycle down to work in a serene rural environment rather than migrate in search of opportunities. The Aisha group has also transformed the primary education scenario in Harchandpur block of Uttar Pradesh without any publicity of any sort. The Mahindras have set up a foundation called Nani Kali Trust, which is carrying out primary education work focusing on girl children in Udaipur, where the company has no factory. Mindtree closely works with spastic societies of Karnataka, having their logo itself designed by them, volunteering program, etc. Kinetic engineering support to Dreamland, an NGO in its formation and thereafter in its response to the farmers' suicide is exemplary. Its outsourcing to leprosy affected communities has led to their empowerment. The Janki Bajaj Gram Vikas Sansthan has worked extensively towards rural education and information in the villages of Maharashtra with clear-cut exit strategies once basic indicators have been met. Godrej Industries Limited, one of the largest industrial groups in India, has integrated conversion of natural resources in its business operations to minimize its carbon footprint. The company's windmills have brought down carbon emissions, earning it carbon credits. A recent green business survey released by Financial Express and Emergent Ventures India revealed that senior management have realized various risks related to climate change and are putting pressure on their companies to manage climate change risk. 67% of the financial companies acknowledge this risk before others and put pressure on borrowers to come up with mitigation plans. Now we move on to summary of what we have discussed so far. To summarize, it can be said that corporate social responsibility in an imperfect market depends largely on the reputation mechanism of the organization, which depends on efficiency of the NGOs and media, transparency of the organization, and tenure and time horizon of the company. Corporate social responsibility is also taken up by the organization as a part of their strategic moves to give credibility signals. Involvement of organization in CSR activities depends largely on shareholders' will. Corporate social responsibility is considered as a non-democratic process and it is one thing that can be considered against CSR. As said by Forrest I. Reinhardt and Robert N. Stavins in the year 2010, just because the legal system may allow firms to sacrifice profits in the social interest does not mean that firms can do so on a sustainable basis in the face of competitive pressures. Under many conditions, firms that participate in costly CSR activities will have to raise prices, reduce wages and other costs, accept smaller profits or pay smaller dividends and accept the economic consequences. After taking such measures, a firm's stock price may decline until proportional to returns and attracting new capital may be difficult because returns are below market averages. Other short-term economic consequences may include loss of market share, increased insurance costs, increased borrowing costs and loss of reputation. In the long run, the firm may face shareholders litigation, corporate takeover or closure. It is difficult for the firms to calculate the true social welfare cost due to their qualitative nature, but there are reasons to believe that investing in CSR activities improve social welfare. This depends a lot on the governance. Government rules and regulations determine in a big way the enforcement and underlying benefits of CSR activities.